like leading up? How did you even get signed to American? What was the process of that? Did somebody walk you in or coach you through it, or did they pick you up out of nowhere?
I was in the New Music Seminar Battle for World Supremacy back in 90, 91, if I remember right.
Is that with Fresh
And
Code?
yeah,
With
no, it
Fresh
wasn't the
Code?
one with, it wasn't the one with, was it the one? No, it
Is
was,
it
I
right
think Fresh was the one after me.
Oh, okay, okay,
Tretch was in it
okay.
before he became known as Tretch, when he was a treacherous MC, before Naughty by Nature even came on the scene, he was in it.
Okay.
LA Star. I don't know if you remember LA Star, female MC. She
Yeah,
was on
yeah,
Profile Records, had a record called Fade to Black. She was in it.
yeah. She used to rock the
Uh,
truck jewelry in her ear and the big
yeah,
chain stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
There were a couple of MCs that were formidable in it. And as far as I know, I don't even remember how I got picked up to be in it. I guess just because I was going around the city at that time, battling in different circles and ciphers in the parks and going to different clubs and rhyming in front of clubs, rhyming in the clubs, and people started hearing about my name. And I think I got the call. Somebody called me. It's like, "Yo, do you want to be in the battle?" I didn't even know what it was about. I knew what the seminar was about, but I didn't know it was going to be on such a major stage. So I remember showing up to the Lyric Theater on 42nd Street,
Hmm.
and I went in, and I was prepared because everything I was doing was basically, when I battle, it's all off top. I don't do written rhymes in battles.
Right.
My thing was, I like to look at you head to toe
Mm-hmm.
and just try to pick you apart. And I don't know who was doing it back then, if any MCs were doing it back then, but that was my thing. It was like, okay, if you got on a funny hat, I'm gonna talk about your hat. If you got on some busted sneakers, I'm gonna talk about your sneakers. And go so on and so on. You're going on and going on. And I didn't win. I think I flubbed one of my lines, and I remember the judges were Rhyme Syndicate, Ice T, Lord
Oh,
Finesse, and a bunch of Rhyme Syndicate, and I think one of their boys won. I don't think it was any cheating or any favoritism on their part, but I know one of their people won. I think his name was Kid Jazz, if I remember right.
okay,
He
okay.
won, but Dan Charnas, who used to write for The Source, I know you know the infamous Dan Charnas,
Well, he's a great. He has a great book, The Big Payback, I
couple,
believe.
a
Yeah,
couple, bro.
yeah. Go ahead,
He
go ahead.
saw
I'm
me at
sorry.
the seminar. No, you good. He saw me at the seminar and approached me outside, and I knew the name, but I didn't know the name big time. I just knew, because I used to look at the source and see writers and whatnot. I'm like, okay, this dude wrote a decent article about such and such, or this dude wrote a decent article. And he approached me and was like, yeah, I think you're dope. Your demo came across my desk at Profile, and I'm like, I remember doing a bunch of songs and putting them together, and I remember sending them out, but I didn't remember what labels I had sent them to or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know how he got a copy of it, but he was like, I liked a bunch of the stuff. He said, you're different. You're on some other. He said, you still trying to keep it funny, and but you're lyrical, and you're savvy with your pen too. So do you want to do you want to eventually make a career out of this, or it's just something you doing just for fun? And I'm like, no, bro, I definitely thought about doing, having some kind of career, because I've always had a thing with words, and I always like reading and writing and just putting words together and everything. Ever since I was a little kid, I always had a penchant for creative writing and everything. So we hooked up. We started doing demos in his house, and at first the thing was to try to get me a single deal or something at Profile.
Hmm.
It never happened. I don't know what happened. The powers that be, it never materialized. But maybe a year or so after me and him starting to work together, he calls me and he says, I got an offer from Rick Rubin to go work at his new label, because he left Def Jam. He went to the West Coast and he started a label called Def American.